Here we go again. There's actually a surprising amount of celebrity scandals that have sort of been brushed under the rug and that not many people have heard of. I mean, a lot of them aren't exactly YouTube friendly because those ones are really scandalous, but for now, let's get into some more tame celebrity scandals that you've never heard about, part 3. At number 10, Katy Perry. One person that you don't often think about having a scandal is Katy Perry. I mean, yeah, she's had some beefs here and there, but nothing too major, right? Well, I mean, she did have a pretty big beef with some nuns, and it was kind of a big deal. Back in 2015, Katy was in a feud with a group of nuns that turned into a legal battle because they just didn't like her. Let me explain. Katy was trying to buy the Sisters of the Most Holy and Immaculate Heart of the Blessed Virgin Mary's aging convent in LA for $14.5 million. She gave her offer to the Los Angeles Archdiocese in order to purchase the property, but when the nuns caught wind of this transaction, they were like, heck no, and went behind the Archdiocese back to sell the property to a different buyer. They did this because they didn't like what they saw in Katy's music videos and they thought it was too inappropriate. They ended up selling the property for less than Katy offered. The nuns got into some pretty big trouble with the Archdiocese, and he even ended up taking the matter to court and even accused the buyer of taking advantage of the nuns. They ended up winning the property back so that Katy could still buy it. She got brought into all of this mess because Katy wasn't wholesome enough for the nuns. But I mean, have you seen Katy? She's a doll. I'd sell her anything. At number 9, Jude Law. You may know Jude Law from films like Sherlock Holmes, Fantastic Beasts, and The Young Pope, but you might not know about Jude's streak as a Hollywood heartbreaker. Jude was sort of known to have a number of partners, and he and his wife were rumored to have been swingers, someone who would swap partners from time to time. But there came a time where he seemingly left that life behind and entered into a new relationship with actress Sienna Miller. Things were fine and they even got engaged until a cheating scandal erupted that blew everything out of the water. In 2006, a woman named Daisy Wright, who was the nanny for Jude's children, came forward about an alleged affair that she'd been having with Jude. She did an interview with the Sunday Mirror, a British news publication, and went in depth about her relationship with the actor, sharing every juicy detail. She even shared details about their passionate lovemaking and went on to say that Jude was, quote, a great lover who knows how to satisfy a woman. People couldn't believe what was happening, having Jude exposed like that, but in a surprise turn, Jude actually owned up to his actions. He came forward and came clean about everything, making a public apology to his then fiancée. It was scandalous, but very few people actually know about this. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, because it really helps us out a lot. At number 8, Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is known for being a little odd. Her brand Goop has garnered a few haters because of how strange and unorthodox it is. She's advertised a number of strange health and beauty products on her site that have people scratching their heads, and her must-have list nearly always includes products that are much too expensive for normal people to afford. Really, the consensus is that Goop is weird, and it's actually gotten her into some legal trouble in the past. In 2018, Gwyneth was faced with a lawsuit against Goop filed by the California Food, Drug, and Medical Device Task Force over 3 products that were sold from the Goop website. The $66 jade eggs, $55 rose quartz eggs that were advertised to benefit women's health down there, and the flower essence blend that was advertised to, quote, assist in clearing of guilt, shame, and self-criticism and blame. After being taken to court, Gwyneth settled and was ordered to pay $145,000 and reimburse customers who bought those 3 products, as well as refrain from advertising products that don't actually have any benefits. At number 7, Cat Williams. You don't always hear about celebrities having Karen moments, but when they do, oh boy, is it entertaining. In April 2016, comedian Cat Williams had a Karen moment, and it ended with him throwing a salt shaker at an employee. It all started when Cat had arrived at a restaurant with members of his family. When they got there, they started seating themselves, but were promptly told that they needed to move because the spot that they had chosen to sit at was already being reserved by another group. Cat then got into a heated argument with employees over the seating arrangement, and then that is where things escalated. He ended up throwing a salt shaker at a restaurant manager. Police were called after Cat threw the salt shaker, but before officers arrived, he had left the scene. He was later found at a Waffle House where he was arrested and charged with 1 count of battery. Now, I have no clue what was said during this altercation, but I do have a feeling that the most famous phrase of "do you know who I am" was uttered, and I can definitely bet money on it. At number 6, Nicolas Cage. There's nothing worse than getting exposed by a book. Well, I mean, there are worse things in life, but for a celebrity, bad press can be detrimental to your image. For Nicolas Cage, he was met with some pretty harsh accusations of dog napping from actress Kathleen Turner, as she wrote in her 2008 memoir, Send Yourself Roses, that he, quote, came across a chihuahua that he liked and stuck it in his jacket. Like I said, bad press can do some serious damage to a celebrity's career, and Nick knew this, so upon finding out about her accusation, he promptly sued her for defamation, libel, and slander. Luckily for him, Nick came out on top and won his case, and in return, Kathleen had to issue an apology to him and paid his legal fees and issued a donation to a charity of his choosing. He chose the National Adult Protective Services Foundation, a charity that benefits victims of elder abuse. I really like how he made her donate to a charity and pay it forward rather than just giving him a bunch of money. It's a nicer thing to do. At number 5, Sean Combs. Celebrities get sued by random people for random things all the time. Most times, they don't even get reported on because they're just so menial, but this story was so wild that it just had to be shared. Sean Combs, aka Diddy, faced a lawsuit in 2011 from a woman who made a number of wild claims against him. She sued the rapper for $1 trillion because she claimed that he was her child's father and that he never paid her child support, and that he once stole a poker chip from her that was worth, quote, 100 zillions of dollars. I cannot make this stuff up. Of the $1 trillion that she was suing for, she claimed that $900 billion was for unpaid child support payments and the rest was for emotional damages. On top of that, she submitted handwritten legal claims that claimed that he had physically hurt her and her kids and that he was the one behind the tragic 9/11 attacks. This lawsuit really didn't go anywhere, but it did get a court date, so it's really more than I was expecting. She also applied for a restraining order against Diddy, but that was denied. This was all so crazy, so I wonder how many people actually knew about this. At number 4, George Lopez. It's not every day that you see a big Hollywood star making headlines in Canada. Really, our news headlines are about maple syrup and igloos and the best way to prepare your moose for winter. I'm kidding, but hearing about celebrities getting into shenanigans in the Great White North isn't something that you hear often. Back in 2014, George Lopez was performing a comedy show at a casino in Windsor, Ontario, and he got a little too enamored with that good old Canadian hospitality because he ended up getting pretty tipsy. After having performed his stand-up routine, he had some celebratory drinks at the casino and got a little carried away. George ended up flat on the floor after drinking to excess and passing out in the casino. Police were called and took him into custody for the night, though no charges were laid. Later on, he poked fun at his intoxication, saying that he was headed to his room that night, but just, quote, missed it by 35 floors. George reportedly gave up drinking after that night. At number 3, Bruno Mars. These days, we don't hear much about Bruno Mars, but there was a time when he faced some pretty big trouble and not everyone knows about it. Back in 2010, Bruno was arrested in Las Vegas after a show for suspected possession of that good old no-no-snow. According to the police report, Bruno was arrested after hotel security discovered that the singer was in possession of illegal narcotics and he was detained. It was later found that he had 2.6 grams of no-no-snow on him. In order to avoid jail time, Bruno ended up taking a plea deal, paying a fine, and serving 1 year probation. I was surprised to find this out about Bruno because he seems so genuine, but now I don't know what to believe. At number 2, Mila Kunis. I have a few more wild celebrity lawsuits that I want to share with you because more people need to know about this. Some of you may recall that actress Mila Kunis is from the Ukraine. Well, when she was a kid, she apparently had a friend who had a pet chicken. Well, one day this chicken just disappeared and Mila was blamed for its disappearance. Well, years later, after Mila became a successful actress, Christina Caro, Mila's childhood friend, ended up moving to America to pursue her dream of becoming a singer, but to her surprise, she moved to an area that was pretty close to where Mila was living. This brought up some deep-rooted emotions for Christina because she suddenly remembered her poor lost chicken and she ended up seeking therapy to help her cope. Christina also issued a lawsuit against Mila for having allegedly stolen her pet chicken from years ago and was looking to receive money to cover her therapy bills. Christina alleged that this trauma prevented her from, quote, pursuing the American dream. Later, it was alleged that this was all just a publicity stunt to promote her song, but I really don't know how well that worked for her. Still, the mystery as to what happened to the chicken remains unsolved. And finally, number 1, Beyonce. I saved the best one for last. I don't know how many people have heard of this, so please tell me down in the comments if you've heard of this story. This seems to be a little obscure, so just let me know. Anyways, Beyonce is one of the biggest names in music, as we all know. I mean, she didn't earn the title of Queen Bee for nothing. She's faced a number of wild lawsuits in the past, including one where someone claimed to have been the surrogate for Beyonce's daughter Blue Ivy. But one story in particular takes the cake, and not enough people know about it. Beyonce was once sued by one of her former drummers for allegedly using extreme witchcraft to ruin her life. The drummer, a woman by the name of Kimberly Thompson, claimed that the singer used magic spells on her, killed her pet cat, cursed her relationships, and made her lose out on money and jobs. She also claimed that Beyonce stole her home, property, computer, and hard drives, and that she tapped her phone as well. There's no proof that Beyonce ever did any of these things, but if she really did use magic, how would she have left evidence? Smart. The judge threw this case out and also denied her request for a restraining order. Wild stuff. Now, I want you guys to tell me a fun fact about Hollywood that you might know. It can be about a certain celebrity or just the industry in general, but I know some of you out there have some cool facts to share, so leave them down in the comments. But anyways, I've been your host for your room, and until next time, stay safe, don't forget to drink some water, and stay groovy, friends. Bye!